Please rise for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Bunton.
Here.
Campbell.
Here.
Dempsey.
Here.
Ford.
Here.
Hill.
Here.
Crop.
Here.
Menzer.
Here. Announcements, acknowledgements, communications, and reports. This evening, we have a presentation from the Clinton River Watershed Council. If you'd like to come forth.
I'm assuming I will be at the microphone?
Yes, you will, and if you could give us your names, please.
Okay. Hi. Thank you for having us this evening. My name is Ann Vara, and I'm the Executive Director of the Clinton River Watershed Council. And I'd like to thank you for having us here. Plus, Mount Clemens has been a member for a very long time and a big supporter of the work we do, and we try to get in your community as much as possible. So it's great to be here in a sort of a different capacity talking about water towns. With me is Don Carpenter. He is professor at LTU, civil engineer, and he's the director of the Stormwater. Thank you.
Okay.
So he's going to be doing most of the presentation as he did the work. And I'm pinch hitting for Amanda Oparka. She's our watershed planner, and she has class tonight. So basically what we want to talk to you tonight about is the work that we've done for green infrastructure. And Don's going to talk about a little bit about green infrastructure, what it is and why it's so important as we move forward with managing our stormwater to protect our water resources.
Oh, let me get out of the way.
Okay, there we go. So a few seconds about the Clinton River Watershed Council. Our mission is to protect, enhance, and celebrate the Clinton River, its watershed in Lake St. Clair. Our vision is to improve the water access and recreation for all. And one of the best ways to do that is our newest program, Water Towns. Water Towns was formed in 2013 through a grant from the Herb Family Foundation. We've continued on since that time with another multi-year grant, and what this program has done is allowed us to help communities connect their citizens and their own municipalities to the water environment. It's very important to celebrate the water. You've got the river right here just outside your campus. So sometimes we've been turning our back on the river for a long time, and now we're finding ways to face it and to celebrate it through recreation, restoration, celebrating fish and wildlife habitat, paddling sports. You probably see a lot of kayakers, boating. Best way to do that is find ways to protect it. And Water Towns helps do just that by connecting people to help them understand the resource in front of them. These are our water towns so far. As you can see, we've been sort of marching our way down the main body of the Clinton River. And this year we are now expanding outside of that to Troy. And so they're our first community that's actually not exactly on the Clinton River. And eventually we'll have every community in the watershed, which is 72 communities, including Lake St. Clair Drainage District, so that's the Grosse Points. They're all going to be water towns. And the best thing about water towns is it's not just green infrastructure, but it celebrates art and history and education and ecology and recreation. But tonight we're going to talk about green infrastructure and why that's so important. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Don.
So again, my name is Don Carpenter. I'm a professor of civil engineering at Lawrence Tech. So Ann was talking about water towns as a concept. This is one component or one piece of the water town project that Lawrence Tech has done in partnership with Clinton River Watershed Council. So this project had 4 goals, right? So one is conceptual site plans that would show what we would recommend as green infrastructure improvements. A couple of the things that I want to say, I'll probably say a few times, is one of the things I'm going to say is this is suggested. Nothing I say tonight you're required to do. These are just suggestions, recommendations, things you might want to consider, right? We're going to show you artistic renderings. One of the things I've learned over doing this for 15 years is you have to show people what it would look like. If you don't show people what it would look like, they can't really envision it. So we are going to show you the artistic renderings. I have a graduate research assistant named Rachel Pishek, who's not here tonight. She's responsible for most of this work. Then we're going to talk about how much stormwater you're actually going to keep out of the Clinton River. So what we do in this project's all about retrofits. So water that's currently going straight to the Clinton River without being treated, we're going to treat it, okay? And then we're going to give you generalized cost estimates. So how much it would cost to do this. This year we're working with 3 communities, Harrison Township, Mount Clemens, and Troy. We did a presentation last Monday to Harrison Township, and we're doing our final presentation to Troy after the holidays. So one of the questions we get a lot is, what is green infrastructure? Green infrastructure is a topic that we could debate at length. I decided just to throw up the United States EPA definition on the screen there, which basically means that we use native vegetation, we use natural processes to capture and treat stormwater runoff. So we're trying to mimic Mother Nature using green engineered solutions. The thing that's not in that definition that I think is super important is the human element, okay? How do humans interact with this? Because they're still talking about the built environment. And so the human element's really important, and you'll see that come up. It's what we call placemaking. You'll see that come up a couple times, okay? Why green infrastructure? Well, I can tell you what, my job's gotten a lot easier the last 3 years. We had a very large flood down in 2014 in South Oakland County and parts of Macomb County. My grandmother's basement in Warren was flooded. A lot of businesses were flooded. Got a lot easier for me to talk about green infrastructure. What green infrastructure does is where we are used to be a series of natural patchworks of prairies and trees. We built the environment, now we have water quality issues. Green infrastructure looks to bring that back to more what Mother Nature intended in terms of runoff and try to clean the water that goes into the Clinton River. Okay. Here's the project. It's a May to December timeline, so we're sitting here at the final presentation, right? We had a kickoff meeting, we visited the site, we kicked around some ideas, we came back to the community, showed them some suggestions. The community reacted to that and said, you know what, we don't like that, we do like that, why don't you change that? That's the interim meeting. We went back, we fixed up from what we heard, and now we're here tonight. What you guys get at no cost to the community, right? This is all funded through the Herb Family Foundation, is on a little USB key that I've turned over. You have a report. There's a final report in there. It has got a bunch of Excel files, so everything you'll see has got all the design data on there, digital copies of everything, the report, the presentation, and these 2 poster boards. These poster boards are for you to keep and to put anywhere you want that people might be passing by to kind of drum up interest in the project. In a little while, you're going to see cost estimates. One of the things I want to highlight on the cost is that we assume, this last bullet's really important, primary contract labor. We assume that any community we work with doesn't have any capacity to do the work, that they're going to contract it out 100%. What we find from experience is most communities can get volunteer labor or can get their Parks and Rec staff or can get their DPW staff to bring these costs way down. But we just keep the playing field level. This is if you contracted it out. The other thing that you're going to see as you go through this is that we, for this particular community, we have 10 different sites or examples. It's really great because you can prioritize and choose. You can say, hey, you know what? This year we have enough money to do this one, and maybe 3 years before we have enough money to do the next one. One of the things that's on the flash drive with those Excel spreadsheets is once you get cost estimates, you can kind of update those sheets, right? So if you find out something's going to be cheaper, you can have your DPW or your local consultant kind of update that information. So last thing before we get to the fun stuff is we also had, we looked at, I apologize, I thought I had this turned out before I sat down. So what we designed this green infrastructure for is what we would call 2.26 inches of rain, which is basically what we call a 2-year storm event. So about once every other year, you get about 2.25 inches of rain out of the sky. That's what we use as the basis for designing green infrastructure. Green infrastructure is not for 5 inches of rain or 6 inches of rain, although it can help reduce that. It's not what it's designed for. So what we did is every little graph you're going to see from here on out has got a light blue dot, or raindrop. That's the current runoff. And then after we go in with our design, here's the reduction. So for example, if you put in a bioswale in between like a road, that would be 100% reduction because that swale would be designed to capture all of the water. If you just add some plants along the edge of the Clinton River, you might only see a 15% reduction because that's not as significant. Okay? So what did we do in Mount Clemens? So in working with the city, we wanted to focus in on kind of the center core here. So a lot of this has to do with Cherry Street and looking at this alleyway, right? Just to try to, I mean, you guys know your community better than I do, but this is the area we dealt with, right? So along Macomb Place, Cherry Street, and this back alley up in this way. This was the area we really focused in on, okay? So starting with Cherry Street, right, what we looked at back here, this is a street that needs significant help. It's very degraded infrastructure at this point. So we're looking at putting some stormwater planter boxes along some downspouts. More importantly, making it one-way with permeable pavers throughout that stretch. So here's the current existing configuration. That would be the revision, right? So using a brick layer here, that would be very similar to try to give to some of the historical context here. But this would be permeable pavement brick that would take all that water in. So you can see here that's 100% reduction of water because this would be designed to capture it all, but at a decent sized price tag, $43,000. Okay, and then some stormwater planter boxes. The idea is this becomes more of a pedestrian street, a continuation of the other part of pedestrian street, and then you'd have some stormwater planter boxes and get some more people traffic generated down this alleyway. Skipping over to the mall area, we're looking at putting in bioretention cells or rain gardens near this crosswalk, and then trying to green up this area to make it more pedestrian friendly. So this is what it currently looks like. One of the things I do a lot of is I look for what I would call wasted space or dead space. Area that's currently concrete that doesn't serve a purpose for either parking or for pedestrians or for loading or unloading. And so that's an opportunity right there to put in some a below grade bioretention cell. Same thing on this corner over here. We don't really want to eliminate any parking. We want to maintain this area here for truck traffic, but there is room there for a stormwater retention basin. I do want to point out one thing is that, these are just artist renderings, right? If I was going to design this for real, I would round that corner off so that you could do a snow plow through here, nice and neat. It's one of the questions I get a lot is about snow plowing. Things like the fences are optional. There's a lot of different possibilities here. Flipping to the other side, I think this area here could be a good candidate for an enhanced, larger bioretention cell as well. That would take the water runoff from the jewelry store right there. Coming down now a little bit farther to Macomb Place. Here's the existing. You had a situation where there used to be trees in here. They're obviously not anymore. So I think that's a great opportunity to go below grade, do a French drain, capture all the water from these downspouts, and put it into a series of bioretention systems in here instead of these kind of the old tree boxes that aren't really tree boxes anymore. Speaking of tree boxes, one of the things we're really advocating for here is a system that's not just a street tree, it's actually what we call a tree box filter. A tree box filter is an area that's got additional stormwater capacity above and below the tree well. So water goes in through a traditional curb cut, and these serve as like mini detention basins with the trees in the middle of them. There's a lot of potential in Macomb Place for this type of stormwater treatment. You actually have a lot of street trees in here that many of them have died because they don't get the proper watering they need. And so what we're saying is, look, what you really need to do, instead of trying to keep these alive by watering, which isn't really working because you don't have a good root system, let's take them out. Let's put in stormwater planter boxes, capture that water, clean that water up, make the trees healthier. Okay, and you can see there's a lot of opportunity for these and throughout this whole Macomb Place as part of a redesign. So here's one that's really great. You already have an existing planter system right here. It's just something that can be kind of redone with native vegetation for stormwater quality benefits. So it's kind of just a variation of the theme, a lot of opportunities to put in different systems. So what we looked at is, so the whole thing, there were some pretty expensive ticket items in the Macomb one because the porous pavement's very expensive. Those tree box filters are not the cheapest thing in the world. But in general, what we looked at is that the total cost for everything we've shown was $155,000. That would reduce the water to the Clinton River by 25,000 gallons. That's 25,000 gallons for every time it rains up to 2 inches. So it's not like just one time. It's every single time it rains, 2 inches or less, these things would capture and treat that water. So what we like to put in is how much it is per gallon. So that's basically a little over $6 per gallon to capture that water and treat it in perpetuity. Okay? And you can see then we break it down. Every single thing I showed had a little dollar amount to it. So the next thing that Ann and I are going to kind of tag team right here is results. So as I mentioned, we've had 9 total communities. This is our 3rd year of this program. So previously we've done 6 communities, and every community that we've offered this to, Ann's going to talk to you about a mini grant program, and then we're going to show you some results of what some of the other communities have done prior to you.
So it's important to echo what Don said. This program doesn't cost anything to the community. This is a grant-funded program. And it covers our costs, and it covers Don's time, and it helps put together these renderings. One of the great things about this is it also provides for a mini grant back to the community. So now that you've done this, you're eligible for a $5,000 mini grant next year. You must match it at least 1-to-1. So you can match it with in a couple of different ways. You can use in kind. You can use cash. We can try to find some additional grant funds. The other thing that's great about what Don just presented to you, having all those costs available to you, is it doesn't have to be done at all. It can be done in phases, and we can help you find funding to do it all if you want to do it all, and we can do it over time. The great thing about this is it gets you more shovel ready. So when grant opportunities come up, we have some numbers that we can deal with, we have some projects that we can deal with, and we can move forward to try to find funding to help the city of Mount Clemens get these things installed. And it helps you with the willingness piece. Because this is tough stuff. You don't always have this at your fingertips to put in your capital improvements budget. Well, now you got some first steps. You can hand this to your engineers, and they can help package some of these things up. So that's one great thing about getting where you are now. And it doesn't stop here. Once you're a water town, you're always a water town. We're always going to come back, revisit these things, sort of do a check and balance. Where are you? You know, let's get the measuring stick out. What can we do? Where are we now with these things? And this is just one piece of it. As I mentioned, there's other aspects to water towns. This is in Clarkston. The city of the village of Clarkston, they have a little depot park along a tributary. This is part of the headwaters. And this is a unique project because they had a dilapidated bridge that was not handicap accessible. You had to wheel way up, you can see on the left, and it was just impossible. There was no green infrastructure, stormwater just ran off, and so one of the projects that Don and Rachel put together was this bridge. Well, sure enough, we offered them a $5,000 mini grant, and what they did is they had a private philanthropic person in town that said, I'm going to donate $100,000 to Depot Park in the name of my deceased brother, and he helped build that bridge. And then there were 2 consulting firms that added some in-kind to that, lighting and some engineering services of over $4,000, plus our $5,000 mini grant. The gentleman on the right there, that is the person that donated the $100,000 to this park, he and his wife, to be able to get these things installed.
Yeah, to say that, if you look at the rendering, that's what we pitched in 2014, and the rain garden is along the edge of the riverway there. And then, so that's what happened, right?
So it happened. It got installed and it worked. So next we've got Clinton Township. This is the pond outside of Clinton Township, and a lot of people come and fish here. It's a destination. The image at the bottom is what it used to look like. The image at the top, that's the rendering that Don and Rachel put together of how to capture runoff. It's been proven that even a 5-foot buffer outside a body of water can reduce phosphorus by 85%. And so that's what we were trying to capture here. You got a little fishing pier sketch on the top. So then the next slide shows actually what was installed. So this is another unique situation. We have provided them a $5,000 mini grant. They said, you know what, we just don't have the cash right now in our budget to match this. Can we use in-kind? So what they did is they had their employees over 2 Saturdays plant the buffer on the left. They paid their employees time and a half on Saturday. That's what it looks like on the right. The employees took such great ownership of this project that on their lunch hour for the next couple of weeks after they planted it, they went out and watered it. So you sort of had that nice feel-good feeling. And so we get the next slide. Rochester Hills, this is the rain garden. It's at our CRWC office.
Yeah, so now we jumped ahead a year, so this is one of the 2015 ones.
Yep.
So here's our rendering.
So this is a rendering. This is actually outside of the Clinton River Watershed Council offices. Our offices happen to be on the campus of the city of Rochester Hills. And there was constant runoff from the driveway and the dirt road going into the Avon Creek, which is a tributary to the Clinton River. This is you can see the curb and the grassy area. There's no vegetation except for grass. And so Don and Rachel designed a rain garden for this project. This is what was installed using volunteer from the Chrysler Motor Citizens and a few others. It's installed, it's working. We have no flooding in the driveway. It's been 100% uptake of the sediment and the water, and we did it all with volunteer labor. And we also we've received a $4,000 grant from Michigan State University through the Great Lakes Community Network that helped with some of the materials and some of the concrete and rock. And then the City of Rochester Hills offered some in-kind service on that too. So we've been able to get really creative with these things. You can get creative too, and we're here to help you. And I want to thank Brian for help and all this, and also Mickey with the Downtown Development Authority has been with us every step of the way. So with that, we could take some questions, or Mayor, it's up to you.
So you mentioned plants, and we're talking plants native to Michigan?
Yes.
And the trees and the greenery you're looking at would be particularly hardy because of, like, you know, the salt and periods of drought?
Right.
Okay. And I was kind of, how do the stormwater planters work? The drainage from the roof goes right down into the storm?
So everyone's a little different, right? So the stormwater planters on Cherry Street, if we want to go back to that quickly. You're referring like these. So one of the, I think the one you're probably referring to the most would be like this one right here, right?
Yeah.
So what ends up, so right now, the roof runoff, what we do is you take the roof runoff into a trench drain and then run it into these stormwater planters. And then basically underneath that, you have an overflow, so it can never back up into the city. So there's an engineered structure where you're really just taking the roof runoff, instead of putting it right into a pipe and right into the river, you're routing it through these systems first for water purification purposes and some storage purposes.
Okay. I wondered, in the Cherry Street Mall, you have that nice green space, and I wondered what kind of size are you envisioning there?
Which one would you,
Right in the Cherry place.
the Cone place?
No, Cherry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Which,
Cherry Street.
I mean, really, the...
Right there.
That one? Oh.
Yeah.
I don't remember the exact amount. It's actually in the report, and it's probably a little easier to see maybe on one of these aerials. But it's, I mean, if you look, just to kind of give you some ideas, right? I mean, we're basically talking about taking out these raised concrete beds. So, you know, you're looking at, what would this be, 12 foot by 20 or something like that in this area. That's right there is an existing system. That basically, you tie into that, that would be your overflow structure. All of these things are modular. You could run them down the entire length of the mall, or have, you know, little pieces of them as you go.
Okay.
I think you can kind of see it, you know, like this one was just, you know, you can kind of get a feel for it right there. There's the park benches right there. So there's one right there. We just had a few of them. We were kind of staggered in their opportunities.
On Macomb Place, you showed the existing planter box with the beautiful colored flowers and the red and white flowers, and then you showed the rendition after that.
Yeah, well, that was
that
if you
one.
wanted to, yep, that's only if you want to go. So these flowers, I mean, again, everything's up to you. These are non-native flowers, right? These require a lot of watering, so a lot of potable water to keep them alive during the year. These don't receive any street runoff, so that if you don't water them, they're not going to stay alive.
Right. In your next slide, I was
Yeah.
looking at that curb cut right there.
Yep. So the water, this allows water to enter into here. Okay. And so the plant palette, what you're seeing in here, these are some dwarf irises. These are actually some daylilies. The plant palette can be adjusted. You know, you can get a landscape architect. You can adjust the plant palette to meet your expectations, what you would like. You're very astute. You know, what I am showing though is a transfer from non-natives that require a lot of attention to native plants that have a little bit deeper roots and provide some other benefits.
So in that curb, you know, that cut right there,
Yep.
the water will drain into the bio area instead of out of the bio area into the
Correct.
brick
So what
pavers.
happens now is the water just bypasses this, right? So right now the water just goes up and around this, right? This allows it to go in and then back out. You don't see the other side. The water would basically then just go through. It's like it's a green gutter almost,
Okay.
right?
Okay. And then I wondered, because this is a pedestrian area, it will be heavily, you know, most of these areas will be heavily salted for pedestrian traffic. Do you envision any difficulty? And probably some other chemical like Palladao or something
Right.
will
So
be
it depends
used?
upon, it really depends upon, there's a couple of things with that, right? Every community is a little different. terms of how much they use for salt. Farmingdale is a great example. You know, they've actually they use a brine solution. They're using some beet juice. They're doing some creative things to lessen their salt loading. That would be one of those things we'd have to talk to DPW staff and figure out how much is our salt load and what plants would we need to put in here. You know, some plants are more tolerant than others. In many communities, you could actually get away with using a lot less salt than you might. Sometimes it actually has to do with operation and maintenance. This right here actually has got a pretty good non-skid resistance factor to it, right? I mean, I don't know how much you salt this, but you probably don't need to salt this very much because that brick doesn't really build up a lot of ice. I'm not saying no salt, but that might be something you could look at.
Okay.
But those are decisions that have to be made, you know, with DPW, with Parks and Rec, with the landscape architect, to figure out what's the best plant palette for these situations.
Okay, and then the runoff that does end up in the, you know, in a sewer like that, yeah, is that, would that eliminate that? And would the water that then goes through the bioswales be considered? I know she mentioned, mentioned earlier that it's a big reduction in phosphorus, so would that greenery then help
So this situation,
clean?
this situation right here, if you look at that, let's just use the storm drain as an example, right? So all the runoff from this goes into that storm drain and then basically outlets right into the Clinton River. What happens in this situation is you're actually getting heavy metals, arsenic, lead, zinc, mercury, a lot of brake dust, you're getting a lot of hydrocarbons, oils and greases. There's a lot of things that are not good for the benthic organisms in the Clinton River that are washing kind of straight into the river. Most of that pollutant loading happens between around an inch of rain. So the first inch of rain is what causes that pollutant loading. If you can capture and treat that first inch of rain, you've gone a long way to kind of cleaning up the water. So now if you look at our, you know, like a recommendation like one of these, where we're now saying, well, let's capture that water, that's the inlet for this, and we put it into this system here with these grasses. This type of system right here, I'm not going to go into all the little details, but there's a rhizome, there's actually a lot of microbial mechanisms happening in there. So when that water gets into that soil, it actually gets treated, right? The heavy metals are taken, the way I like to look at it is probably almost everyone in this room takes like a multivitamin, and there's actually minerals, right? Plants actually work the same way. You know, plants can take up some zinc. Plants can take up some of those heavy metals at a level that we would put into it. But if you get it right into the water and mass loading, it's really hard on the lowest level of the food chain. Same thing with hydrocarbons. You can't take a 55-gallon drum of oil and drop it in here, but the typical hydrocarbons that run off of a street get broken down by the microbes that are in this thing. And so that's the cleaning effect. So you're capturing and treating that first inch or two of rain.
So when you look at the things like the bioswales and the tree boxes,
Yep.
and when the tree boxes go down into, you know, and it drains out eventually into a
Yep.
possible storm drain, then there would be less treatment of that needed, you know, by the city before it goes into the rivers.
Yes, it provides the treatment. The natural system provides the treatment.
So that would indirectly lower the cost for the city of treatment.
So one more time,
We don't
sorry.
currently treat-
Only if you're on a CSO.
Denise,
That's where-
I think you're-
not
we
on a
don't-
CSO, you're not treating the stormwater.
You don't,
Okay.
So no.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
Appreciate all the questions. I do.
I tabbed him.
Well, thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Any reports from the commission? No? Do you have any? No. Adoption of the agenda, need a motion?
Move to adopt the agenda as presented.
second.
Roll call?
Campbell.
Yes.
Dempsey.
Yes.
Ford.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Kraut.
Yes.
Menser.
Yes.
Bunten.
Yes.
Okay, public participation, this is the time you may address this body. All we ask is that you give us your name, residential address, and you adhere to our 3-minute rule. Open mic night. Okay, seeing someone coming to the open mic.
My name is Rick Block. I live on Cambridge, 207 After the fact, I found out that there was a work session meeting last Monday night, and I was kind of disappointed that I wasn't able to find it out ahead of time, but I guess I didn't stumble around the website enough to find that out. So after stumbling around and trying to work through it, I finally ended up calling Lisa. And she walked me through a couple of things, and I said, well, I tried this, and it says, go here, go here, go here, do this, do this, do this. Last thing I said was, if you want to sign yourself up to be a recipient of some emails to advise you of these things, click on the items below, nothing below. I went 3 or 4 different places, and every time I thought I was getting somewhere, I ended up against a blank wall. So I said, well, that's enough of this. I'm wasting time here. I'll just call Lisa and see what's going on. So I did that, and she gave me several explanations for what's going on. I'm just kind of disappointed that it takes a tremendous amount of maneuvering to get somewhere, and then you end up nowhere. But I would like to publicly acknowledge the fact that she spent probably 20, 25 minutes on the phone with me. I'm probably not the easiest person in the world to deal with on the phone, but I don't know if she was grinning and bearing it, but she was bearing it one way or the other, so thank you, Lisa, I appreciate that. Second thing is that I did have to ask one question. I read the minutes of the work session, and I said, well, okay, did anything important come out of that? Because I'm not seeing anything in the minutes. She says, yeah, we decided that we're going to proceed with a charge to go ahead and get some more candidates to interview the MML, is that what it is? We've charged them to do this, and I think that's kind of noteworthy. I think it should have been put in the minutes that we've taken this positive action, but yet it doesn't appear in the minutes. So it's going to go in the record that you had the meeting, but no visible signs of anything. Thank you. Again, thank you, Lisa. Appreciate your time.
There was no formal action.
There was,
There was no formal action taken at the work session, and in fact, you cannot take formal action at a work session. So that's why it's not in the
I'll
minutes.
rephrase that thing. There was a recommendation made to do something, but that wasn't noted. But I thought that was pretty noteworthy.
you don't come to this body. I mean, it'll come here for the decision. Anyone else? No? Okay. There was no administrative responses. I need a motion to approve the minutes of previous meeting.
Move to approve the
Meetings.
minutes of the November 17th, the November 21st, both regular meeting and work session, as well as the November 28th work session.
Second.
Roll call?
Dempsey,
Yes.
Ford. Yes. Hill,
Yes.
Crop,
Yes.
Menzer,
Yes.
Bunton,
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
Okay, general business, 9A, request approval of Local 838 International Association of Firefighters Collective Bargaining Agreement. Need a motion?
Motion to approve the collective bargaining agreement between the City of Mount Clemens and Local 838 International Association of Firefighters effective July 1, 2016 through June 30, 2019.
Support.
Okay. A tentative agreement between the City of Mount Clemens and Local 838 International Association of Firefighters, AFL-CIO, was reached in November. The contract, which expired July 1st, 2016, will be in effect for 3 years. Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Ford. Yes. Hill,
Yes.
Crop,
Yes.
Menzer,
Yes.
Bunton,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Dempsey.
Yes. 9B, approve purchase and payments of invoices.
Move to approve the purchases and payments of invoices as presented.
Second.
Commissioner Menzer.
I just had a question on the vendor on page 11. It says Mount Clemens Tree Service for various bearings and couplings for the oxidation ditch. Isn't Mount Clemens Tree just kind of tree trimming? I just thought maybe we got the vendor mixed up.
They've used that vendor for a while. It's the
Okay.
same vendor.
Okay.
Anyone else? Roll call, please.
Hill,
Yes.
Crop,
Yes.
Menser,
Yes.
Bunton,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Dempsey,
Yes.
Ford.
Consent agenda, need a motion?
There is none.
Oh, there's not. I was
Moving on.
moving on. Just want to see if everybody, no. City manager's report. I know there's one of those.
There will be a work session on Monday, December 19th, to discuss the city's 2016 final audit review with Plant Moran. I did note on here that it was going to be at 5:30, but it's actually going to be at 6 o'clock. So 6 o'clock on the 19th, which would be prior to our regularly scheduled meeting at 7. The Clinton Watershed Council, who just presented to us, one of the things they mentioned was water towns. The Water Towns program, it was a way to connect and enhance public access to the Clinton River and Lake St. Clair. MacArthur Park, located on North River Road in Mount Clemens, has been chosen as the first of 12 universally accessible canoe and kayak launches. The project will not only improve the link between the riverfront and the downtown, but also create activity and provide facilities at the park. In order to complete the project, a fundraising effort has been launched through Patronicity. If the goal of $60,000 is met, the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, together with Michigan State Housing Development Authority, will contribute an additional $50,000. To help reach the $60,000 goal, please visit patronicity.com/project/MacArthur_park_river_access or call 248-601-0606. And one last reminder that nominations for the local treasurer award are due to the city manager's office no later than Friday, December 16th. Nomination forms are available at the city manager's office, at City Hall, or on the homepage of the city's website.
Any questions of city manager?
Do we have a link on our website to that Patronicity?
We do. If you go on the homepage of the website, there's some information right up
Just
front.
easier than typing
Yeah,
out
than
all
typing
the.
it out. But yes, you're right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, commissioner comments. Commissioner Campbell, do you have to get garbage out tonight? I'd
No,
start with you.
I actually put my leaf bags out.
Oh, okay.
That-
Well, we'll
the
start with you
comment
anyway.
The comment I have tonight was, over the weekend, people were out raking their leaves in the street. After the street department had come through, they were very happy that the street sweepers came through. A couple of people stopped and were complaining that certain neighbors were blowing their leaves into the street. So, but everybody was thankful that the street department came through. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Hill?
Okay. Just a reminder that this is the last week that people can put out bags of leaves, so I know I was doing some raking this afternoon to get mine out for the trash tonight. Then moving along, I wanted to say what a nice event the Small Business Saturday was. And Mickey Weiss was there as a secret shopper, handing out surprise $5 bills to people and gift certificates. So it was a very nice event, and I was surprised at how many people I ran into that I knew, most of them in Tis Country. But anyway, it was a lot of fun. And then just a reminder that this week on Thursday is the Christmas Walk, and the tickets will be on sale at the public library until Wednesday, December 7th. So hurry and get your tickets. Last year, they all sold out, and there were some disappointed people, so don't wait too late. But anyway, I hope to see a lot of people there. And lastly, the First United Methodist Church of Mount Clemens is sponsoring a Christmas party for children from Mount Clemens and Harrison Township. And everybody's invited. It's December 18th from 2 to 4. There will be, one of the big events is that Santa Claus will be there. And there will be some crafts, there will be singing, there will be cookie decorating. I know that's one of the jobs that I have, is being in charge of the cookie decorating. So it should be a lot of fun, and we hope lots of kids come. And that's it for me tonight.
Thank you. Commissioner Crop?
I too participated in the Small Business Saturday and was conned out of a few bucks at the magic shop from my 6-year-old who wanted another magic trick. So, well done, Dave, apparently. And it was a great event. There were quite a few people in downtown on a chilly day walking around, and we had lunch at O'Halloran's, and it was a nice afternoon. I will be holding my coffee talk again this month on December 13th at John's Family Grill, 9:30 a.m. I would love to see some faces there and bring questions that you have. We're going to discuss current events of the city. I will not be holding a Saturday with the holiday this month. I'm going to hold off on having a Saturday coffee talk, but that will return next month. And I'd like to just encourage everyone, if you can't find something to give to that really difficult person to buy for in your family, then how about making a donation to the new Clinton River project? I think that would be a nice way to gift something that will give throughout the years. So, of course, go to our website for that link or give them a call at the number that Lisa had mentioned earlier. I'm sure City Hall would be happy to pass along that number to you. And that's all I have for today.
Thank you. Commissioner Menser?
Wednesday, I hope you all take a few minutes to remember Pearl Harbor and all the veterans we lost there, and to thank a veteran if you see one. Julie Frusciano gave me a copy of a flyer that came out from Seminole Elementary. It talked about the aid that families can get for the holidays. You can always call 211 for a complete list of agencies that offer assistance, but the Mount Clemens Goodfellows are here offering assistance. You can reach them at 468-7814. Toys R Tots also offer gifts for children, and you can go to their website, toysfortots.org, and they will tell you where their local donation point is. The Salvation Army is also assisting families, and they are open this week for in-person interviews from tomorrow through the 8th. From 9 to 11 and 1 to 3 right there on Church Street, or you can call them at 469-6712. And I've talked before about Meals on Wheels. Meals on Wheels is desperately looking for volunteers to deliver meals to homebound seniors and handicapped people for this Christmas. So you pick up from the county warehouse, which is at Hall Road and Groesbeck, and you can call them at 469-5228 if you'd like to volunteer. Conversely, if you know somebody who's going to be a homebound senior who might not have help with food over the holidays, you can call and help register them. The Mount Clemens Kiwanis Club is collecting gift cards of $10 and $20 for foster children. There's a poster in the hall down by the entrance, or you can drop them off at with Jill Johnson at Printing by Johnson at 1430 South Gratiot. Yesterday, I was very lucky to participate in an event called Kids Kicking Cancer. I'm a member of the Mount Clemens Optimist Club. In the Optimist Club in Macomb County, several of them banded together with the Clinton Township Optimist Club to put on this event. There were 350 kids and their families, children with cancer, who brought their brothers, sisters, and their parents. And they had a wonderful day. It was just awesome to see. There was, no judgment, no staring. It was just a bunch of children having fun. We had an awesome DJ, a very big guy. He was picking up 2 children at a time and dancing with them. We had Santa, we had gifts, we had food appropriate for them and their special diets, and face painting and other crafts and all kinds of just really wonderful things. These children, the joy in their face to just have a day for them and their needs was really, it really changes you when you do something like that. So I suggest that if you have time this holiday, please volunteer for one of these organizations, the Goodfellows, the Kiwanis, the Optimist Club, something, or Meals on Wheels. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Martin?
Okay, very little I have to say, except that, small business Saturday probably was great. unfortunately, I had another commitment that I didn't get to it. So I'm going to declare this. Why don't we all celebrate Small Business Saturday every Saturday? I mean, our community can use it. It's not a great effort to just patronize the people who are in our city. If we want to have our city be great, then let's support them. So that's my comment. Now, for the Commissioner Wisdom for tonight. There is danger in changing too much in search of perfection. Think about that one. That's by Agnetha Falstock. And with that, we'll say goodnight.
Thank you. Commissioner Ford?
Last week, I had the pleasure of watching a house being torn down on Dickerson. The company came in 3 days, demolished the house, backfilled the basement with dirt, and planted some grass. Quite impressed with that.
Thank you. John's Family Grill, which is located on Cass just before the railroad, is again hosting an annual free breakfast buffet for everyone, feeding the hungry on Christmas Eve. This is December 24th from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m., and everyone's invited. They are accepting at that time. You have a free breakfast, and John pays for everything that day, but he is accepting donations which will go to local churches to help the homeless. So please keep that in mind. It's December 24th, Christmas Eve, from 8 to 2. Come have a wonderful breakfast and help out the homeless by donating to the various, he donates to various churches. I think he selects a few churches throughout the city each year, and then he donates 100% of the donation goes there. So keep that in mind, please. And with that, I would like a motion to adjourn. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed?